everybody, in this video I'm going to go over the tables that you'll be seeing in lessons 64 and 65. So I'm going to start by opening up the 64-23 assignment. And the first table is going to look like this. First thing I'm going to do, and you should do this is review lessons 28 as well as 36 through 39 in the Word manual. In addition, you should be reviewing R13A in the reference manual. So for box tables, you need to center your tables horizontally. Notice that your title is in 14 point. It's also bolded. Your subtitle is bolded in 12 point. After your subtitle, you press enter one time, so there's a space between the next row. Any headings need to be aligned to the bottom as well as bolded. As for the text within it, everything is left aligned here. Then we have numbers that are right aligned. And so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is to insert my table. I'll go up to my Insert tab. In my Tables group, I'll click on Table. This is going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows and 3 columns. So notice that when I use this, it only goes down to 8, which is fine. So I'll do 3 by 8. At the end, I'm going to press Tab until I insert 2 more rows. I then need to merge my first row. So I'll select the first row. And then up in my Layout tab, I'm going to click my Merge Cells button. You remember that your title has to be 14 point and bold. It also needs to be centered. And my title is $700 compounded annually. So make sure that my caps lock is on. Okay, and it's really important that you review the instructions here in GDP just in case there are updates. And so there is a note that says your textbook may have a printing error. On page 246, the second line of the title should be in 14 point font size. That's because it's part of the title and not the subtitle. So this should be for 7 years at 7%. I'll press enter once, and then I'll click here. Next, I'm going to type in my column headings. So beginning of year, this is interest, and this is value. This needs to be bolded, so I'm going to bold that. And then in my Layout tab, in my Alignment group, I'm going to select this Align Bottom Center button. And then I'm going to type in first. And right now I'm not going to change the alignment until I am done typing everything in. So this is 0.00. My value is $. And then you'll notice that there's some spaces between the $sign and the 700 in your e-text. And in this week's Lamaku lesson, it does tell you and talk about how many spaces to put depending on what's the contents that are in there. Okay, and specifically in the ruled tables with number columns, although this isn't a ruled table, this does talk about numbered columns. The dollar sign needs to be aligned with the longest amount in that column. We're going to insert spaces after the dollar sign as follows. So 2 spaces for each digit and 1 space for each comma. So let's take a look at our e-text. So in our e-text, the longest numbers are these thousands. So 2 spaces for each number. So we already have these numbers there. So this number here would be equal to pressing enter twice. I'm sorry, here spacebar twice, and then the comma is just 1 spacebar long. So I'm going to press my spacebar 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then type in 700.00. Okay, I'll then type in the remaining numbers, 49.00. I'll do 749.00 and continue typing these. Now that I have everything in here, I'm going to right align these numbers. So starting from the 00, ending with this 1129.19. I'll go up to my Home tab in my paragraph group. I'll do a simple right align. And then I also need to adjust the column widths. So right now they are quite wide. And there's a couple ways we can do this. We can go to your cell size, depending where you're clicked in, and then click on Auto Fit. We can also manually drag this so that it matches the e-text, so beginning of year. Okay, I'm also going to drag this a little bit in. And this looks good for now. Okay, if you want to, you can make this slightly different. But before we submit this, we need to center this in our document. And so according to our R-13A, so let's take a look at R-13. Notice that it's centered horizontally. So there are 2 centers that we need to apply. First thing I'm going to do is to select the entire table. You can select the entire table by clicking on this table handle button on the top left corner. And just like how you would center text, you would go to your paragraph group and then center. Okay, so we've centered it horizontally, but now we need to center it vertically. So again, make sure you select the entire table. And so what we're going to do now, and I just adjusted this so we can see this in our whole Word document here. We're going to go up to your Layout tab, and then in your Page Setup group, you're going to click on your Page Setup dialog box launcher. From here, we're going to go to Layout, and then in the Page section, you're going to choose Center, and then click OK. And so now we can see that it is centered both horizontally and vertically within your page. And so it's really important that you review the Word Manual lessons. I believe it was lesson 39 that goes through the steps on how to center it this way. Okay, and so this was lesson 64-23. Now let's take a look at 64-24, which is an open table. The only difference between an open table and a box table is that we remove the borders. But to make it easier, we're going to remove the borders after we type it in. And so let's start by creating our table. And I can't remember if I click Start Work or not, so I'll start from scratch. That was 64-24. Just like before, we're going to start by inserting our table. This is going to be 3 columns and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. So I'll insert one last row. I'm also going to merge my first row. The first line needs to be bolded, 14 point, and centered. I'll type in sales conferences. I'll press enter once. And this time we have a subtitle. So for subtitles, that's going to be in 12-point font. Whereas in 64-23, that 7 years at 7% was still part of the title, just on a different line. And then I'll press enter once. And I'll start typing everything. So this is date, city, leader. Once you type this in, you can bold. I'm also going to center. Just to be safe, I'm going to do my align bottom center here. And I am also going to auto fit contents. So I'll select my table handle. I'll go to auto fit, select auto fit contents. We then need to center this horizontally and then vertically. And then click OK. The final step is to change this or convert this to an open table, meaning no borders. So with the table selected, you will go up to your table design tab, click the bottom half of your borders button, and then select no border. Okay, and this is the only difference between a box table and an open table where there are no borders. So let's save this and upload it into GDP. And submit. Okay, I'll then click OK. And let's take a look at the final table for 64. This 64-25 is a ruled table. So there are only going to be borders around certain sections. So let's start from scratch. And I'm going to insert my table. So again, that's 3 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 rows. So I'm going to insert one more row at the end. Don't worry about this paragraph mark at the end. There's no way to get rid of it. And so I fast forwarded and entered the table. Just as an FYI, to make it match the e-text, notice that after comparison of sales quotas, the words and actual sales is on the line below that. So just press enter once after quotas and then type and actual sales. That's going to be in 14-point bold all caps. You'll then press enter once, change the font size to 12-point and bold it. And here's the data typed in. I'm going to turn off my paragraph marks now just so it's easier to see. So once you type everything in, now we can format it. So month, sales quotas, and actual sales needs to be centered, bolded, and I also need to adjust my alignment to align bottom center. The sales quotas numbers and actual sales numbers need to be right aligned. And so now let's center our table. So I'm going to click on this center button, my table handle button on the top left to select the entire table. I'll do my center. Because it's so long right now, you might not be able to see a difference, but just make sure that when you click on this center line has been applied. Now we need to center it vertically. We also need to adjust our auto fit. That needs to be auto fit contents. And then finally, we need to convert this into a ruled table. So with ruled tables, only certain cells are have that border around it. So let's remove all borders first. So select the table, go to Table Design, and your borders, select No Border. And the only ones with a top and bottom border is your month, sales quotas, and actual sales row, and your totals row. So let's select those titles. In your Borders button, you're going to select Top and then Bottom, and do the same thing for your totals row. You'll select Bottom and Top. The order doesn't matter, just as long as you have borders here as well as here. Okay, you can then save this and upload it into GDP.